Hi everyone, and welcome to this video on how to fold an origami seal. To start with, we need an origami kite base. This is one that I folded in a previous lesson. And what we're going to do to start with is we're going to take with this side up, so in other words we have a little white triangle up here and some of the color from our origami paper. We're going to fold this tip down over this direction, so this line lays right next to this line right here. It doesn't matter if you do the right or left side because we're going to do both. What we're doing is we are making an X on the piece of paper, so then we unfold it. As you can see, I have a valley fold right there. Now I'm going to do the same thing the other side. And unfold it also. So as you can see, I have two valley folds, and they meet right on the line that the fold that we had from the kite base. And what I want to do is I want to fold this tip down right so it folds right on that X. So I just push it down. Now it's going to want to move right and left, so make sure it's perfectly centered, and then fold it in a straight line. Good. So now we have our kite base with the top folded down. Now turn over your piece of paper, and you're going to fold this tip up to it touches right there on that straight line, right in the center. And sometimes with colored paper or textured paper like this, it's hard to see where your folds are that you've done so far. So once I fold this, I'm going to fold it in half and make sure it's actually right on that line, which it is. Okay, so now that I have this folded up, I'm going to turn the whole thing over. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold this tip into here so that this line goes right along this line right here. And what we're going to be doing is making a straight line from this corner down to this corner. If our kite base and everything else was folded perfectly straight, this should make a straight line from the top to the bottom. As you can see, it's a little bit off right there, but that's okay. All right, now we're going to do the same thing on this side. Fold this in and down. Good, so now we actually have almost a square. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to fold on this line right here. Just fold the piece of paper over like this. And what it should be doing is folding, if we can get this correct, it should be folding right on the line from this flap on the back. And then once we've done that, we don't really have to crease this super hard there. We're going to fold this tip back so that it is right on the center line, folding right on the center line. And the way you can do that is once it's folded, you can actually fold this over to crease it. Because this right here, this line right here, this fold should be right on the center line of our kite base that we folded. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. Going to fold it in and then fold it back out. Now, as you can see, again, I am a little off right here. That's partially due to folding error, but it's also partially due to the fact that my origami paper wasn't perfectly square. So you do run into that sometimes if you have, this is, I would say, middle grade paper. It's definitely not cheap like that stuff we were using earlier with the waxy coating on it, but it's definitely not super expensive origami paper either. Alright, so once we have this, we're going to turn it over and we're going to work on this side for a while. So what we're going to do now is just like we did on that white triangle before, we are going to fold this tip this way and then fold this tip this way to make an X, just like we did before. So we're going to fold so that this edge goes right on this edge right here. Make sure you crease it, and then you're going to unfold it and do the same thing the other direction. Good. All right. So now we have this thing that kind of sticks up. This is actually going to be the head and the neck of the seal. So before we do that, we need to turn this over again, one more time. And as you can see, there's a line here that you can kind of see with the white showing through. We need to fold this tip down to this tip right on that line. Now it's going to be pretty thick, especially if you're using printer paper or copy paper. So you might have to put it down and really use your nails. Try not to rip the paper when you're doing that. Okay, so now that we have all this set up, what we're going to do is we're going to allow this piece to stick up on the back, and we're going to basically fold this bottom part in half. And as we do, this is going to straighten up, and we squeeze all this in like this. All right, so when we're done, this is actually going to be the head of the seal up here, and this is its rear flippers at the back. So we're almost done with this part, and the head isn't very difficult, but what's going to create some difficulty for us is this part in the middle here. So what I want to do is I want to take, see if I can use, I guess I'll use my finger. I want to take and I want to fold right along from this, where this piece of paper and this part of the paper meet. From there, I want to fold down, so it's, depending on the piece of paper, out somewhat. Now, there's no specific measurement that this has to be. It just needs to be out from that somewhat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this piece and this piece separately. So I'm not going to do both at the same time. I'm going to do the top piece. And as you can see, I'm going to fold, make a crease from one to the other. So I'm making a valley fold from this point down. And now I want to do the same thing on the other side. The trick is making it the same length. And once you're done with that, you can check it by folding both of them to see if they, oops, something's going on here. There we go. All right, so now you can see I folded those in. Now, what if you took too much origami paper and folded too much, there would be actually a piece sticking out right here. That almost happened on this side. Now, what I want to do is, if you remember the water bomb, we have an actual hole here. We have a hole between this part of the paper and that part of the paper. I want to stick this thing I folded in there. So to do that, I need to fold it back the other way now that I actually created a fold. So that I'm folding on the same line on the outside this time. And I'm going to do that on both sides. And make sure it lines up straight. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to pull this piece of paper up and stick that piece that I just folded in that hole. So the hole I'm talking about is this piece, this little hole right there. So I want to stuff that into that hole. Now that I've done that, you can see that we have two distinct sets of flippers, the front and back, as opposed to the back one was fine before, but the front one kind of just went on an angle. So what I can do now is I want to bend these out. So I'm going to fold this one up a little bit, this one down, this one up, this one down. And I can actually push down on the table to get them fairly flat. So the only part that's left is the head. So the way we're going to do the head is I'm going to fold this tip down to where this piece is. So I just fold it straight down like this along that line, and I crease it. Then I'm going to make a fold to make our next fold easier, right along this line right here. So I'm just going to fold that up and fold it back down again, and then I can actually do it on the other side if I really want to make that fold easier to use. Okay, and I'm going to unfold this whole thing. So now, if I take and open this, and I push this one in and this one in, as you can see, it's going to push these two top pieces together that I folded, and I just keep pushing those in until I'm left with the head. Now I only have one thing left, which is I need to fold this part in right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take and fold this over. It doesn't have to be that far, just fold it over like this, and I can unfold it and fold it on the other side. And what I need to do is I need to open it up and tuck it in just by pushing it down and up so that it hides inside the seal's nose. So you have a seal, some people say it looks more like a dog, and when you're done, you flip it up on end and just push it down on the table like this, so it looks like that when it's finished. Thanks for watching. Happy folding.